Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into the absolute cutting edge of machine learning on graphs. I'm talking about graph neural networks, or GNNs. Now, for the longest time, bringing deep learning to graph-structured data was just a massive headache. But GNNs, they're the engine that finally makes it possible. They don't just look at isolated data points. Instead, they look at the whole complex, interconnected web of relationships to learn these incredibly rich structural representations, completely end-to-end.
So why does this matter? Well, think about this. Developing a brand new therapeutic drug can literally take up to 15 years and cost well over $1 billion. It's wild. But what if we could computationally discover a totally new use for an existing, already approved drug? We could bypass years of safety studies. By combining knowledge graphs, which store all these biological connections, with machine learning, we can predict hidden relationships. We can literally ask the graph, hey, can this old drug treat this completely different disease?
Okay, let's dive right into this roadmap. First, we'll look beyond traditional GraphML. Then, we'll break down the intuition of message passing. After that, we'll explore different GNN architectures, see how knowledge graph tasks work in practice, and finally, check out the exciting new frontier of GNNs and LLMs.
All right, part 1, beyond traditional GraphML, and exactly why manual feature engineering just totally fails to scale.
You see, while knowledge graphs hold this unbelievable wealth of relational data, the old way of doing things, traditional GraphML, relied really heavily on painful, manual feature engineering. You literally had to calculate node degrees or count specific paths by hand. And older methods like node-dev, they were great, but they were transductive. That's just a fancy way of saying if a totally new node was added to the graph, the model had absolutely no idea what to do with it without a complete retraining from scratch. Plus, they were often feature blind, completely ignoring the rich attributes actually attached to the nodes. GNNs completely changed the game. They're automated, they learn end-to-end, and most importantly, they're inductive. They can handle new, unseen nodes on the fly without breaking a sweat.
Moving right into part 2, the intuition of message passing, also known as the neural conversation.
So how exactly do GNNs pull off this inductive magic? Think of message passing like a highly structured conversation happening across the entire graph. Just like your own identity is partly shaped by your social circle, right? Well, a node's identity in a GNN is shaped by its neighbors. It all happens in 3 simple steps. First, a node collects messages from its neighbors. Second, it processes those messages. And third, it updates its own internal representation. So in layer 1 of a GNN, a node is just learning from its immediate one-hop neighbors. But by layer 2, it's learning from its neighbor's neighbors. And by layer K, it's incorporated information from this massive K-hop neighborhood. The absolute most crucial takeaway here is this. Message passing completely replaces that exhausting manual feature engineering of the past. Instead of some poor human trying to manually figure out which connections actually matter, the nodes automatically talk to each other. They recursively aggregate information to figure out their exact place in the broader network.
Okay, part 3. Let's explore some specific GNN architectures, specifically GCNs, GATs, and heterogeneous models.
Now that we know these nodes are having this conversation, we gotta ask, what language are they speaking? The foundational model you're going to see everywhere is the Graph Convolutional Network, or GCN, first introduced by Kiff and Welling. Now, in a GCN, the message passing style is super democratic. A node aggregates messages equally from every single one of its neighbors, effectively smoothing out the information to capture the local structure. And it uses a clever symmetric normalization, which basically just ensures that massive hub nodes with tons of connections don't completely drown out the quieter, less connected nodes.
But let's be real for a second. In life, and definitely in graphs, not all neighbors are equally important, right? And that brings us to Graph Attention Networks, or GATs. Introduced by Velichkovich, GATs use attention mechanisms. So instead of treating every neighbor exactly the same, the model assigns learnable weights. It literally learns who to listen to. If a specific connection is super critical for whatever task you're doing, the GAT just cranks up the attention weight for that specific neighbor. It's a massive upgrade in expressiveness.
And that brilliantly illustrates why we need heterogeneous graph transformers when we're working with real-world knowledge graphs. You see, a biomedical graph isn't just a simple web of identical dots. It has multiple node types, like drugs, diseases, and genes, and multiple edge types. A connection where a drug binds to a gene is fundamentally different from a connection where a drug treats a disease, right? Heterogeneous models fully embrace this complexity by actually learning different aggregation strategies for every single type of edge.
Part 4. Let's look at knowledge graph tasks in practice, focusing on node classification and link prediction.
All right, we've covered the architectural theory, now let's actually put it to work. These are basically the two heavyweight tasks in graph machine learning. First, you have node classification. This is all about predicting a specific category for an existing entity. For example, looking at a protein in a huge network and trying to classify whether or not it's actually associated with celiac disease. Link prediction, on the flip side, is about discovering the unseen. It's predicting a brand new edge. It's like asking the model, hey, based on the entire structure of this graph, is there a high probability that the drug metformin treats type 2 diabetes? This right here is the absolute core of modern drug repurposing.
Let's look at how these models actually perform in practice during a complex PyTorch geometric evaluation involving illicit and illicit nodes. It's kind of a classic trade-off. The GCN is incredibly efficient. It is by far the fastest to train, but its performance on complex illicit nodes, just moderate. The GAT is the slowest because computing all those specific attention weights is super computationally heavy, but it gives you a highly reliable balance. And then you have the GraphSage model sitting right there in the sweet spot, medium training time, but it yields the highest overall performance, with the lowest misclassification rates across the board.
If you're building this yourself in PyTorch Geometric, your pipeline follows a pretty clear path. First, you construct your heterogeneous graph data, isolating your users and movies or drugs and diseases, whatever your domain is. You initialize their features, and then you pass them through a heterogeneous GNN encoder. The really cool part? The model updates the embeddings bidirectionally. The drug learns from the disease, and the disease learns from the drug. You train it by showing it real edges as positive samples and fake edges as negative samples, basically forcing it to learn the difference.
And finally, Part 5, the GNN and LLM frontier, where semantics truly meets structure. This brings us to what I think is the most exciting frontier of all, how perfectly these two massive technologies complement each other. LLMs are basically the ultimate data processors, right? They can read thousands of unstructured documents, emails, PDFs, and flawlessly extract the exact entities and relationships. The LLM builds the structured knowledge graph up front, which then becomes this perfect, noise-free environment for the GNN to perform its deep, multi-hop reasoning.
They truly are the ultimate tag team. LLMs generate brilliant initial node features just by understanding the text descriptions of entities. Then, the GNN takes those rich features and propagates them structurally across the entire graph. This solves two massive problems in the industry right now. It actually stops LLMs from hallucinating because their knowledge is now strictly grounded in a factual graph. And it solves the GNN's problem of feature scarcity. Together, they unlock incredible new capabilities, like zero-shot link prediction, which is just wild to think about.
So GNNs give us the unprecedented power to predict hidden patterns and uncover knowledge that, honestly, we'd never find manually. But here's a provocative thought to leave you with. Now that we have this incredibly intelligent, structurally aware graph, how do we actually talk to it using our own natural language? How do we just ask it questions and get reliable, cited answers back? Well, that is exactly what we're going to uncover in our next explainer when we dive headfirst into knowledge graph-powered retrieval augmented generation. See you then.